Good morning. My students reminded me that in the packet that we were working yesterday, there was a page that I didn't cover quite well. The last page, if you number your pages, it was page 11. We were talking about percent increase and decrease, and all the pages were fine, but this one they changed things around where you're not finding the percent, you're finding an amount. They give you the percent. Okay, so I put the first one, number 1, on the board. And it says in the instructions, find the new amount. It doesn't say find the percentage, increase or decrease, find the amount. So we're going to find, our answer will be in inches. It's going to be, and they said an increase. So if you're thinking whether your answer makes sense or not, it's going to be a bigger answer, because it's an increase, okay? So it's going to be more inches than this. Now, the way that we do this is they said, we start with this, and I want to increase it 89%. So it doesn't have the word of in here, but you're going to have to find 89% of the original amount. So we're going to say 89, and percent means over 100, times, which is of 89% of 1586. We put it over 1 because this is a fraction. That's the only reason. And so our answer should be okay, and so our answer is 1,411.54 inches. Now, the reason I told you to look at your answer to see if it makes sense is because, look, we went from 1,500 to 1,400? I don't think so. So think about this. What we found, that was just the increase to this. So now this is just part of it. This is how much it increased. So now it's very important to take our increase and show it right here. Already? Thank you so much. So now we have 2997.54 inches.
So we're dividing it with it.
Is that the answer on the back? Okay, what we're doing is we want to increase this. And by how much is 89%? So we find 89% of this is that 1411. And the 1411 is only how much we're increasing. We started with the 1,500. We're going to add 1,400 more. Okay? We have to add the increase to find out what our final answer is. Do y'all see?
Yeah.
Are you okay? You just come.
Yeah, I just need to know if I can come in full time.
Yes. How's your son?
He's okay, and sorry I'm late. I had to demonstrate the clap for daycare, and I put my 2 weeks in yesterday, so I can come to school full time.
So happy for you.
I want to do this, and I know I'm stubborn, and I know I'm slow, and I have a hard time comprehending, but I want to do this. So I got some paperwork that I got to get done and get turned into CCS, so that way I don't have to go virtual learning. I want to come to class.
Good. I want you in class.
So I want to be in class. I don't want to do virtual. So I got to get all this set up, all this paperwork for CCS.
And that's what you're going to do today.
That's what I'm going to do today.
Okay, because I noticed there's no paper. So
Yeah.
you came in to talk to me. It's good news.
Yes.
Thank you. I was afraid you were going to tell me your son was sick.
No. No. And I had court yesterday too. They called me one day in advance to say I had court. I won my custody court battle with my son.
Girl,
Yes.
you're doing such a wonderful job.
And so he'll get visits the first and third from 12 to 5 with my supervision because of his Brody's medical condition. He, in addition to the $822 that I get for child support, he owes me retroactive of $14,000. So I'll get another $150 a month. So I'm set. I know my finances are okay where I can be here full time. I don't have to work and I can just take my baby steps. Not only that, but my husband's home, so he's able to provide too. And
You look happy.
yeah, so I just wanted to come and let you know. I'm sorry I didn't call you.
Welcome to our class full time.
Okay, and I'll be starting February 8th.
Okay.
Because I don't want to just quit my job. I cut my 2 weeks in.
2 weeks. Okay.
Okay.
So you're still coming Tuesday and Thursday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
We'll Zoom
Well,
tomorrow.
you have a good day then, blessed day.
Okay.
Congratulations.
I'll be working tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So kind of the same thing until the 8th. I'll be coming in.
Works for me.
Okay.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sorry, we had very good news. One of our students gets to come in full-time instead of part-time. So yay.
Good.
Luanne's on the way in. So let's do another one of these problems.
So our answer was add, Rachel.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, the answer was add.
I mean, I was switching and flipping and I was like, why is it the 2997?
Sorry.
That's why I was, I was listening, but I was like, now, was it add or what?
Well, if they say an increase,
Yeah,
now
I knew that was. no,
the
it was
next
add.
one is going to be a decrease.
Okay.
And so that says I'm probably going to subtract, but think it out. Okay,
Yeah.
let's look at the second one. Hi, Luanne. Oh, she doesn't have her mic yet. Okay, we're going to do number 2. Okay, and you guys do a head start if you want to. See how far you get. Okay. This is number 2. Luanne, if you can hear me, this is
Yes,
page
ma'am.
11. This is page 11. I didn't cover it well yesterday. It's a little bit different. And so we're backing up just a minute to explain these. Okay, it's this page, Luanne. Percent change.
Okay.
Things were kind of backwards. We're still going to use what we know to do it. But if you notice the instructions say find the new amount. It doesn't say find the percent because they give us a percent in the problems now.
Oh, okay.
So here's what we're going to do. What it says is we're going to subtract something from that. We're going to make that number smaller by 99%. 99% of what? Well, we do 99% of the original number. So I'm going to take 3897 times 9%. I want to find 99% of the original number. Okay? And this is definitely calculator stuff. Okay. And so our answer here is 0.03. Is that what y'all got? All right. Now, the number that we got is only the 99% of this. That is how much we're going to decrease. This is not the final answer. This is how much we're going to subtract from the original. We're going to decrease this much. Now, in this case, you notice that the numbers are about the same. Well, if it was 100%, the numbers would be exactly the same. So 99% is going to be almost the same. So we know we're okay here. Okay, and we're going to subtract this because of this word. We're decreasing. I'll just do it on the calculator.
It's 381.
Okay, so a decrease of 99% of that leaves us a final amount of $38.97. Oh, no, feet, sorry. Feet. So if I took that amount and decreased it by 99% of that amount, I'm only left with this. If that was 100%, the numbers would be the same and I'd be left with nothing because I subtracted 100%.
And we always put the big number first, like the 38.97.
If you're going to subtract,
Oh,
okay. If you're going to add, it really doesn't matter.
So what goes under the 385,803?
This,
That one?
I just came over.
Oh, okay.
I just used my calculator so it wasn't directly underneath. So is this a little bit better explanation for that?
Yes.
Okay, watch and make sure whether it's an increase or decrease, and be careful not to get sidetracked and say, oh, this is my right answer, because it's not. You've got several steps to go through. Okay? And if you have any questions, be sure and ask me. Tomorrow is our Zoom. We're not going to record tomorrow, but it's a question and answer, and we won't have a new lesson tomorrow. Okay, so our lesson today, my plans for today was to introduce to you simple interest, which starts on page 12 of your handout. Simple interest is, we use these type of problems if maybe you opened a savings account and they told you how much interest you would earn. So you can figure out after a certain amount of time how much money I'm going to have in that account. The same applies if you borrow money at simple interest. They will tell you how much you borrowed and what you're going to have to pay back in interest rate or percentage. And so you can figure out if I borrow this much to buy a car, I'm going to have to pay back this much. So here we go. Now there are other types of interest. We're going to be doing the simple interest today. There is a type of interest called compound interest. And then there is compound continuously interest. We're not going to do the continuously. I am going to show you the compound interest. Maybe today. If not, I'll do it on Monday. Simple interest has a formula that is very easy whenever I explain to you what all of the letters mean. Simple interest is I equals P times R times T. Now this doesn't mean a whole lot to you until I tell you what each one of them stands for. So the I stands for just the interest. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a minute. P stands for the principal. The principal is the starting balance or the original balance, okay? Principal is the starting or original balance. That's what you start with. R is the interest rate. Now the rate will be given to you in a percentage, but to work the problem, you'll need to change it to a decimal. Okay, in order to do the work, you'll have to change it to a decimal. That's why we practice that in the beginning. And the T is going to stand for the time that you borrowed the money, or for the time you're going to leave the money in the savings account. Okay, now the time is very, very important. It has to be in years. And most of the problems you're going to have will give you years. Okay, like I borrowed this money, I'm going to pay it back in 3 years. Okay, but the reason this is so important is because some people borrow for 6 months. And 6 months, you can't put 6 here because that means 6 years. So 6 months is just 1/2 of a year. And so you would use 0.5 or 1/2 for your time. Do you see? If it's not a whole year, don't use the whole years. It's going to be a fraction or a decimal. And I'll help you with that. Like if it's 3 months, you say 3 out of 12 months, and that will give you your decimal. 3 divided by the 12 months that is a year, and that will give you the decimal. But we'll practice that. Most of the time, they're going to give you years, but be careful when you read the problem. All right? Now I'm going to leave that for just a second for everybody to get this down because I don't have enough room to work the problems. So make sure that you have all that information down.
On the R, did you put interest of rate percent?
No, that's a percent. So just interest rate is what it's called, interest rate. And sometimes in the sentences, they'll just call it rate, or they'll call it interest rate, or whatever. But remember to do the problem, like if it's 6% interest, you don't use 6 here. You use 0.06, because changing 6% to a decimal, you move the decimal back to the left 2 places. We'll practice that. I'll do 2 problems. Sound good? Okay. Okay. Let me get some room here. I'll put the formula up here. Interest equals principal times rate times time. Okay. Let's just skip around in here and let's go to number 5. Okay, I'm not going to write it up here, but I will read it to you. It's number 5 on this simple interest page, if you have this. Okay, listen carefully for those of you that don't. If you borrow $225, so that's where we're starting, right? That's going to be your principal or the original amount, $225, for 8 years. It's going to take you 8 years to pay this off. At an interest rate of 6%, how much interest will you pay? How much interest will you pay? So what we do is use your formula, and remember that if you're given a formula, you should always write the formula first so you can plug in numbers right directly underneath that so that you don't make any mistakes. So in this case, we want to find interest. Our principal is $225. That's how much we borrowed. The rate is 6%, right? 6%. So if this is 6%, we have to change it to a decimal, 0.06 times, and now I need the time. How many years?
8 years.
8 years. And then to find the interest, all you do is multiply. So we're going to take 225 times 0.06 times 8. And so the interest equals $108. Okay, now I want you guys to stop and think a minute. Is this how much you're going to pay the bank back? You borrowed 225, but you only have to pay 108 back? No, that is the interest. And the interest, no, not per month. The interest is added on to what you borrowed, because when you borrow from a bank and they charge interest, the interest is you paying them for them letting you borrow their money. Okay? So when you finish paying back this, then the final payment will be the 225 plus the interest that was accrued during the 8 years. Now, I know what y'all are going to say. You look on the back, that is not the answer on the back. Is that correct? I want to point out already on this very first problem, you have to go back after you do your math right here. After you get this answer right here, listen, after you get this answer, then you need to go back and look and see what answer they want. There are two ways they're going to ask this question. They're going to say, how much is the interest? Which is what they ask on this problem number 5, right? And so your answer is 108. But you need to go back and look at some of these questions and see what they want to know. They may say, what's the total amount that they paid back to the bank? Then you would use this answer. Do y'all see? So you need to look on the word problem after you get this stuff done and see which one they need. Do they need just the interest, or do they want the full payment? Okay. And just a side note for you, Irene, if we're going to have to pay this much back, then you can divide this by the years, divide it by 8, and you know how much you have to pay every year. Okay. And then you can divide that by 12, and that'd be monthly payments. Okay.
41.62.
You divide it by 8. Yeah. So pay, what'd you say, 30?
You'll pay 41.62
every year.
We have to memorize this formula.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I equals P times R times T. And they may put that on your test. I don't know. I don't know if it's on your formula chart. You might check your formula chart and see if it's on there.
I haven't looked at that thing forever.
I know.
I know. I don't think it is. I think that we deal with,
This is not a hard formula. Let me see.
And there's a lot of
Yeah,
questions.
it's on
about
here.
this.
oh, is it?
Yep.
What'd you
At
say?
the bottom.
There's a lot of questions.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, at the bottom.
Already?
There it is. And it's a capital P, which doesn't make any difference. It says principal, that's the beginning amount.
Yes.
So no, you don't have to memorize it as long as you know what you're looking for, okay?
And there's always questions about percent.
Yeah.
There is?
Yeah.
Okay. So see, we're getting you ready, right? Let's,
I never answered those questions.
oh, because you didn't know, now you know. Okay, we're 1 or 2 points up, right?
Yeah.
We keep improving. Let's do number 9, and then I think I'm going to introduce the compound formula, compound interest, and tell you what they stand for. That's if you want to work those problems over the weekend, but you don't have to do the compound interest over the weekend, okay? But I will introduce it because I'm just going to do one more problem here.
Okay.
Okay. Number 9. Now what we're going to do is invest some money. Oh, number 9. There we go. I don't know if you can read it or not. Number 9. Okay. It says how much interest is earned on a principal of $646 invested. That means you put it in a savings account or you invested it somehow. Okay. At an interest rate of 5% for 2 years. Okay. So it wants to find out how much interest. The principal is $646 at a rate of 5%. We took 5% and we changed it to a decimal times, let's see how many years? 2 years.
$646.
So interest is going to equal $64.60. Yes. Okay, now go back to your problem. Do they want to know how much will be in that account when the time's up? Or do they want to know just the interest? They just want to know the interest in this problem. So this would be your answer. Now, what this interest is, if you put your money in a savings account, let's say a bank or a savings credit union, you put this much money in there, they're not going to take it away. Actually, for you putting money in their bank, they will pay you for keeping it there. So if it's a savings account, at the end of 2 years, you're not only going to have your original money, $646, but you're going to earn this much on top of it. So if they didn't ask for interest, but they asked for the final balance after 2 years, how are you going to get that?
Divide it? No.
Now, don't guess. Just think about it.
Multiply.
You put $646 in that bank and it's earning interest. So at the end of 2 years, they didn't take this out. They gave you more. So at the end of 2 years, how are you going to figure out what you have in that account?
Multiply.
I hear it. What'd you say?
You multiply it.
No, that would be
No.
nice. That would be nice. But what we're going to do is take the original amount, because that's ours. And the bank said,
Okay.
I'm going to pay you this much to keep your money here. So we're just going to add it on. We're going to add
Okay.
it on. We had $646, and that's ours. They're not going to take that away. But they paid us
Yeah.
this in the savings account. So now we have 64 added on to that. So at the end of 2 years, our savings account is going to look like this. So depending on what they ask you in the question, in this particular question on this particular worksheet, it asks only for the interest. So this is the answer. But if they say, what's the balance in my account after 2 years, then they want this. They want you to take the original and add the interest onto it. So savings accounts, you're going to add them. If you borrow money, you're going to subtract the interest. Subtract. Yes. No, you're going to add that too. You're going to add how much. It's going to be added all the time, isn't it? Well, we'll have to figure out problem to problem. Okay. But if you borrow, yeah, you have to add the interest because you're going to pay back more than you borrowed. So yeah.
I need this interest. I used to get it when I get child support.
And it's good to figure out housing loans and large loans, because sometimes a bank will charge you enough interest that at the end of your loan, whether it's 25 or 30 years, you would have bought that house 3 times. Where you buy a $100,000 house, it might cost you at the end of your loan, $312,000, you know, but you get the privilege of only paying a part of it instead of having to pay the whole thing. So you have to decide what's important to you. Okay, but simple interest, you just take the beginning principal, change the rate to a decimal, and the time has to be in years, and that will give you only the interest. Everybody good?
Did you know that number 5
Yes?
on the other page and then number 8 are the same
On which page? Oh,
person?
5
And 8.
shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Oh, they're the same problem, but different numbers, right?
Oh, it adds the 8, yeah.
Yeah. But they did copy it, didn't they? Just change the numbers? Okay.
Oh, being tricky.
It's just more practice.
Yeah.
Okay, simple interest is a good thing for you to learn. Then there's a third page of simple interest. Okay, now compound interest is on page 15 and 16. I am going to give you the formula and I'm going to tell you what they stand for. And then if you want to try compound interest over the weekend, that's fine with me. I'm not going to assign it yet, but I want you to have it in your hopper if you want to. And it will definitely have to have a calculator. Okay, A, this is compound interest. Okay, it says A equals P. Guess what P stands for?
Principal.
Principal
Principal.
number 1. It's always going to be 1. Some of you are going to get scared. Don't get scared. I'm going to tell you what everything is. Okay, of course, this is principal. And that's the original amount, right? That's what we start with. So the P is still principal. We didn't have an A a minute ago. This is the final amount. This is what you end up with when you're through. Okay? So this is like what you would put in a savings account. At the end of all of that, this is how much you have in your account. After the interest has been added, it adds the interest for you. Okay? So of course, this is just the number 1. So you always use 1 here. When you're using your calculator, definitely put your parentheses. Your calculator has parentheses. R is the rate. Interest rate or rate, remember it's a percent and you need to change to a decimal. Same, okay? And T is the same. It's time in years.
Is that an NT or just a T?
It's an NT, which means N times T will give you your exponent. Now, the N, I guess, is the only new, well, the A was. This N and this N are the same thing. This is the number of, let's say, number of periods. Okay, the number of periods. I'll explain this. Whenever you have compounded interest, they will tell you, okay, you put this money in an account at this interest rate for this long, and then they said it's compounded annually. That means it's only compounded one time every year. And so for annually means one time a year. So the in both places would be a 1. But if they said blah, 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 compounded quarterly, that means in a year, they paid you interest 4 times. They compounded it 4 times. If they say compounded quarterly, that means they divided the year into quarters. There's 4 of them, so they paid you 4 times. Okay, they figured the interest 4 times. So your in would be 4. If they said semi-annually, that means here and here in 1 year. So your in would be 2. The in is how many times a year they compound your interest. Okay, if they said compounded monthly, what would n be? How many months are there in a year? 12. If it's compounded monthly, we figure out how many months are in a year. And so your n in this particular problem would be 12. Are we good? Some of you are going, yeah, I'll write it down. We'll do this Monday.
On what page would this be on?
Yes, I do. I see your face. Yes, Sherry?
What page is this on?
This is page 15. It looks like, I'll move my notes out of the way. Looks like this one.
Hang on a second. I can't
There are
see
2 sheets at the end of this packet number 2. These are the last 2.
I must have missed that page.
Okay? If you find out you don't have it, holler at me, okay?
Okay.
There's one and another page.
I don't have it.
Do you have it, Isabel?
No, ma'am.
You
Yeah,
said no?
I don't have it.
What about you, Luannie? Do you have it?
I have it.
You do, yes?
Yes, ma'am. I have it.
Okay, all right. After you guys look and you still don't have it, text me and I'll send it to you. Okay?
I don't have it, Miss Deborah.
Okay, Sherry doesn't have it. What about you, Isabel?
No, I already looked through it. I don't have it.
You do not? No?
No,
Okay,
I don't have it.
I will send these last 2 pages to you guys, okay?
Okay.
Now, that's all I have today, unless y'all have any questions. We're going to work definitely on simple interest. And if you want to challenge, go ahead and do your compounded interest. But we will do some compounded interest problems on Monday.
Ooh, what is that?
I thought, what's blinking in my room? That was
Yeah.
really loud. Okay, I think this is all, if y'all don't have any questions. Any
No,
questions?
I don't.
Okay,
I don't.
Luannie, Sherry?
No, I'm done.
Okay, you take care of yourself.
Thank
And
you.
remember, you can get on Zoom tomorrow. I'll answer any questions tomorrow. There will not be a video though, tomorrow. This one will be up in a little bit.
Okay.
Miss
Okay.
Bond, I have something to tell you. Yesterday we did inequalities, and he made me go to the board, and there was a hard one, and I got it right, and I got to tell them how to do it, so I did good.
Luannie!
Yes,
I'm
I
so
was so
proud of you.
excited. I did really well, and it was the one that came out a fraction, and then the other one was 19, and I was surprised that I got it right as a fraction. Like, I wanted to cry. I was so excited. Yes, I was just too excited.
I'm so excited for you. That
I know.
is so exciting.
But then
I
I
also
messed
found,
up because he kept looking at my paper on one, and the answer was 19. So I second guessed myself and went and did it and made it an 11. And he goes, "What did you do that for?" I go, "I don't know. You gave me too much time, and you kept looking at me like." I go, "But I got 19 first, and I think this one's wrong." And he goes, "Well, go work it." And he goes, "Don't change it after you do it the first time." So, yeah. So thank you so much. I did really good yesterday in class.
I am so, so proud of you. You worked so hard, Luanny. I'm proud of you. I also got some really interesting news, exciting news yesterday. Do you remember Christina in our class? She's in your night class.
Uh-huh.
She passed yesterday,
Oh, that's good.
and that's her last class. So she's getting her GED.
Oh, that's good.
Isn't that wonderful? You're close. You're really close.
Yes, ma'am. So hopefully, yes, ma'am.
Happy.
What
All
happened to
right.
Simon? Did he
Pardon?
pass? Did Simon pass?
Oh, yes, he passed his math test and
Oh,
now
he
he's
did?
in social studies
Oh, okay.
because math was his first one.
Oh,
Oh.
well, that's good.
Well, y'all know I love you. If there's no more questions.